Hi, this is Brad Lineberger, Certified Financial Planner with Seaside Wealth Management, here at our 2024 Retirement Planning Today class with an excerpt on our session from Medicare. All right, so while Matt's queuing this up, I want to start talking to you guys about what Medicare is. A couple key takeaways. You are eligible for Medicare at age 65. So we've thrown a lot of numbers around, required minimum distribution, Social Security. There's one hard and fast number. It's 65 is Medicare eligibility, okay? If you're still working and you're covered by a group plan, you don't have to go on Medicare. Technically, you don't have to go on Medicare, period, but if you are eligible at 65 and you're not covered by a group plan and you choose not to go on Medicare, should you decide to go back on it later, there's a penalty. And there's no getting around the penalty. It sticks with you for the rest of your life. It's an extra cost for Medicare, okay? So 65 is your magic number. If you're covered by a group plan that has fewer than 20 employees, you gotta go on Medicare, even if you're covered by the group plan. If the group plan is larger, did you ever get confirmation on the 20 to 50 and the 50?
It's just 20 plus.
Okay, so north of 20, if you're at an employer that has 20 people or more, and you're on a group plan, now you have an option where you can stay on the group plan and you don't have to go on Medicare if you don't want to. So you gotta weigh the pros and cons, look at what you're paying, look at the quality of your medical insurance through your employer and what it costs. But let me give you a quick breakdown. Medicare can be very confusing. It's like an alphabet soup. Part A, Part D, Part B, it's a lot. So I'm gonna give it to you and simplify. Part A covers your hospital stay. Okay, so I added this slide in, it's not in your book. Here's some details of what you're gonna get from Part A. It's free. If you have 40 quarters of work, just like Social Security eligibility, you're eligible for Medicare. So it's hospital room and meals, it's care and special units, it's intensive care, it's some prescription and medical supplies while you're in the hospital, lab tests, x-rays, medical equipment while you're in the hospital, that sort of thing. That's Part A. There's no cost to it. You'll get your Medicare card at age 65 whether you sign up or not. The decision that you have to make is around Medicare Part B. This is the part that you pay for, and this is the part that, so doctor visits, outpatient, or emergency room services, but when you go visit your doctor, Medicare Part B is covering that for you, okay? Now, Medicare Part C, also known as Medicare Advantage plans or Medicare Supplement, we're gonna dive into that in a minute. This is totally optional. Now we're gonna recommend that you go on it. We're gonna recommend, because Part A and Part B are not enough to cover all your needs. So our blanket, and if again, third class financial laboratory, like dive in and we'll give you very customized advice, but just blanket advice, you're probably gonna wanna get a Medicare Part C. The decision that you gotta make is, do you want an Advantage plan or a Medicare Supplement? And if you don't know, we're gonna highlight a little bit about what that stuff is. We can introduce you to a couple of people who are great resources that they're like us. They're teachers and coaches and all they do is teach and coach. And if you decide to get one of these supplement policies through them, great. They're low key, they don't pressure you, but they're just good teachers. That's why we refer to them. So I highly recommend that you find somebody to help you on this journey because it's really confusing. So tonight, we're gonna just kind of highlight the stuff that you didn't even know that you don't know, and then you're gonna take it away from this class armed with some lingo and vernacular, and then go out and get some resources and education.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
If you use like the person you were telling me, do you end up paying like monthly through them or a yearly, or versus like I bought my mother-in-law's through ARC?
Yeah, so the Part C plan that you buy, that you don't pay extra for purchasing it through a Medicare specialist. They get compensated from the insurance companies, and they get compensated the same. There's parity in their compensation, so they're not incentivized to push this plan over that one because they get paid more. They get paid the same regardless. So I think it's really a no-lose situation in my mind. Find someone who can communicate and teach and coach pretty well. Yeah, and they'll help you out. So here's all the stuff that Part B covers. Take a picture if you want to, but we got to scoot through. But just know that it's doctor visits and it's seeing your Medicare specialist.
So sorry, is that covered under Medicare? That's supplement you have to buy?
This is Part B.
Yeah.
This is part of Original Medicare. So Original Medicare is Part A and B, but you pay for B. You pay for this part. And we'll talk about what you pay in a minute. So monthly premium, it is adjusted for income. So the more income you show, the more you're going to pay for your Medicare Part B. Now, Medicare Part D, again, blanket advice, you're going to want to pay for this too. It's your prescription drug. So if you take any sort of medications, Medicare Part D will help you to reduce the cost. It's right around $40 a month. The Medicare Part B is right around $170 a month, thereabouts. And these numbers go up. They seem to go up every year. Okay. So here's the exact number. It's $174.70 for your Medicare Part B. On Part C, which I am going to encourage all of you to look into this and most likely get, it can range. Here's kind of a general range. $80 a month would be on the low end for your Part C. $150 to $200, $250 would be on the very, very high end. And it comes down to how much do you want to pay and how much coverage do you want to get versus how comfortable are you coming out of pocket should something happen. But I think if you chose a number like $150, that'd be a really safe bet. So your Part B, call it $174. Your Part C, another $150, so $324, and another $40 for Part D, so $364. So $4,400 a year per person is a good ballpark estimation of getting pretty good coverage here through Medicare. But that's what you can be putting into your financial plans, and that starts at 65.
Did we decide that you could pay for those premiums with HSA?
Did we get that answer last week? Can you pay Medicare premiums from HSA? But not Medicare? No on Medicare, but yes on long-term care. Okay. Fun fact, when you're on Social Security, they will withhold your Medicare Part B and D from your Social Security check. But you've gone to this class and you're like, no, I'm going to delay my Social Security until 70. Then you just pay out of pocket. You just link your bank account and you pay out of pocket for your Medicare Part B and D until you go on Social Security. Yeah. Okay. So this is where we got to talk about Medicare Part A and B is not going to cover all of the out-of-pocket expenses. I think that's the big takeaway tonight, is that just get in your minds that you're going to want to go on a Medicare Part C plan. Okay, because it's not going to cover dental, vision, hearing care. It's not going to cover all of your out-of-pocket expenses. And so without Medicare Part C, you potentially could be exposed to some higher than ordinary expenses, okay? And so you've got choices. You've got this Medicare Advantage plan versus a Medigap plan. And I think the best way, so these are buzzwords. This is what you're going to really start to dive into as you navigate your Medicare journey. But Medicare Advantage is you're actually getting off of Original Medicare. It's like its own coverage, Medicare Advantage. Pros and cons, why a lot of people like it. It's simple and it's a little bit less expensive than purchasing a Medicare supplement policy. Okay, so it's a little less expensive, but what tends to happen, again, depending on your situation, what tends to happen though is you may come out, if you're utilizing this, there's a potential you could be coming out of pocket more for a Medicare Advantage plan than a Medigap policy. So the Medigap policy might be slightly more expensive up front, but if you're utilizing it, it could be less expensive down the road. The other thing that I hear about Medigap policies, if you like to travel, that could be a better solution for you. And if you plan to live part-time in a couple different areas or a couple different states or different locales, and you're in different networks, the Medigap is going to be better than Medicare Advantage. At least that's what I'm hearing from our experts who we talk to pretty routinely. Okay, so just passing on some tidbits and tips to you. So this is what Medicare Advantage is going to cover. So again, it's replacing Part A and B and D with Medicare Advantage.
Medigap.
This is the Advantage.
Right, you can replace it with either Medigap or Medicare Advantage. You have a choice.
No, I'll say it to you another way. If you choose, so we're talking this. What we're talking about is Medicare Part C.
Oh, I see.
And if you choose, if you make your choice as Medicare Part C to go on an Advantage plan, you're essentially ditching Part A, you're ditching Part B, bye-bye. But in its place, Advantage offers you its own version of these things, which are good, they're fine, they're good. But there's some limitations, like depending on lifestyle, we just talked about if you want to travel a lot or you want to live in different areas, you get limited to networks on a Medicare Advantage, so it's a little bit less monthly. And for the person that's wants to stay at home and wants to chill, or maybe takes a little bit of a trip, but they're not like extensive travelers. They'll travel a little bit and they're staying in one spot. They're not moving state to state or 6 months here and 6 months there. This is perfect. It's really good. It's great coverage. It's less expensive. But again, depending on lifestyle, there could be some shortcomings that come with the Medicare Advantage.
Is it a reasonable, I mean, it's what I've always kind of heard is the Advantage is like an HMO and the Gap is like a PPO.
It's funny, as I was explaining this, I was almost thinking like, I was gonna say, Medicare Advantage is kind of like Kaiser.
Yeah.
And if you like the people that love Kaiser, you know what I'm talking about, right? But the people that don't, that they prefer Scripps, they love Scripps. That's kind of like more the that's like your Medigap, your Medicare supplement. Okay, it's that, and you may pay a little bit more for that supplement, the Medigap, but if it works better for you, it's worth it. Does it make
So you
sense?
can't go to any provider. You have to, there's a group, and that's it.
In the Medicare Advantage, it's more of a network. Yeah, think about like a Kaiser type thing. Yeah.
And Medigap,
Yeah.
you can go anywhere. What about international?
I shouldn't say anywhere, you just have broader selection because some providers won't take Medicare, some won't take Medicare's, but I think in a safe general statement is you have broader coverage with a Medicare supplement or Medigap.
International as well, or
Yeah,
possibly?
potentially,
So
yeah.
roughly the difference in pricing is $100?
Yeah.
$100?
Yeah, it could be 50 to 100 a month. Yeah, but in the long run, from what I hear, if you're utilizing Medigap, the supplement, it actually turns out to be cheaper in the long run. But again, there's the people that are like, I don't ever go to the doctor. I'm pretty healthy. I don't travel a whole lot. Okay, Medicare Advantage is great for that type of.
Can you switch?
You can annually, once a year, there's open enrollment, and you can switch. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so I would say take a picture of this because it just does a little compare and contrast of Medigap in the middle and then Medicare Advantage on the right. All right, awesome. Good? Yeah, I know, there's so much. This is another one, it's kind of hard to read, but this is a great one that Matt put in there that's got a ton of detail. You can snap a picture of that one too. Yeah. All right, awesome. All right. So this is the combination. So this is original Medicare. So if you stay on original Medicare, you have your Part A, your Part B. You can add the prescription drug, the Part D, and then you can add in that Medigap that helps to give you the supplement. So you could put it all together, staying on original Medicare and have a really nice supplement. Or you can choose to move off of original Medicare and move everything over to your Medicare Advantage plan. Okay, so it's a choice that you have. You can make the decision to go back. It's an annual choice that you'll make during open enrollment.
What's the big difference between Medicare Advantage and regular Medicare?
So I think good examples would be this one here. So your Advantage, your restricted choice of providers, hospitals, and suppliers. So it's more, you're restricted to a smaller network.
With Advantage.
With Advantage. There's a cost savings though, so it's a little bit less expensive, but you're more restricted. So really, that analogy of think about Kaiser. If you're a Kaiser person, you're a Kaiser person. You know what I'm talking about. You love it. That's a Medicare Advantage. But if
So like my mom has Kaiser and Medicare. How do they work together? Sometimes it's so hard to.
She,
Example.
Yeah.
What?
Kaiser's probably primary and Medicare's probably maybe secondary.
Yeah, and Kaiser could be, she could be on Medicare Advantage through Kaiser.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right, so the last one, we'll leave you on this one. We'll leave you on this one. So we've talked about taxes, we've talked about Medicare, we've talked about financial planning and tax decisions. We talked about Roth conversions, Roth contributions, the whole thing. We'll close on this, it kind of ties it together. So we mentioned that the base cost for Medicare Part B is $174 per month, but Medicare does go up as your income goes up. So snap a picture of this if you want to. This is the income brackets. This, what we're talking about here is called IRMAA, I-R-M-A-A, Income Related Monthly Adjustment Amounts. That's plain English for Medicare tax. Medicare tax. The more money you make, the more you pay in Medicare surcharge on top of that base $174 per month. Okay.
Individual.
Per person, yeah, per person. So they're looking at your adjusted gross income as a couple. So if you guys fall in this 206 to 258, on top of your 174, you can tack on another 70 per person. Right, right. So now you're at 244 per person. That's just for Part B. You got to add in your, and so D also goes up, not as much, but D goes up as well. So the point I'm making, look at this range, 258 to 322. Tack on 175 and 33 respectively, all the way down to the bottom. You get my drift. 750 and north, you're going to add 419 per month per person on top of the 174 for Part B and another 81 for Part D. So my point is, as you're making decisions and you're doing multi-year tax projections and you're building out a financial plan for the next 30 years, you need to take all this into consideration because any little thing you do has a lot of ripple effect. The last thing you want to do is do a big old Roth conversion because we told you to, and you're like, oh shoot, now my Medicare got really expensive. So it's a 2-year look back. So they're looking back over the last 2 years. Essentially, they're looking at your tax returns. Here's a big one that we see people get hit with. You sell your home. And remember, you get that Section 121 exclusion, $250,000 per person. But we see people that have owned homes for 30, 40 years having $1 million or $2 million in gains because they've owned the home for a long time, which can have this effect, this impact on your Medicare IRMAA. Okay, so just wanted to kind of make you aware of that. So there's no surprises, no landmines, no ticking tax time bombs. And with that, we're going to wrap the class. Thank you so much for being a great audience. We appreciate your time.